Do you think it's harder to be a good investor today than 10 years ago?
I think it's easier
Yeah,
because we have just access to more information, faster trading, easier everything. Like 10 years ago, yeah, we had apps we could trade on. 20 years ago, you were calling someone on the phone. I think AI and, managing your portfolio with AI is going to be a thing in the future. I think it's only getting easier to be a good investor, but once everyone's a good investor, is anyone a good investor?
So the world is digitally connected now, and it means that we all have access to almost all information in real time. Information no longer sits behind a paywall. So if you want to assess, like, what is the world buying today? What products do they like? What brands are doing well? Like, how are we spending our money today versus a year ago? Like, the answers are there for you to see on social media as regular people.
And that used to be something that only like analysts and hedge funds, and they would buy all of this data and they could analyze it, but now anyone can.
Yeah, that's the thing I keep telling everyone, like information has been democratized, and that's to the advantage of retail investors. They just don't know it because they think there's this big mystical Wall Street that's screwing them. I'm like, no, they're afraid to tell you that we have the advantage as retail investors. So like, think about all the big movements in companies the last few years. If you go back to all those movements and you say, like, why did that company start flying? Whether it was like Abercrombie back then, it's all based on information that we could have seen as regular people. It's not information that Wall Street was privy to that we weren't. So like, even if you look at stuff like NVIDIA, there's nothing about ChatGPT and NVIDIA that Wall Street had access to that we didn't. We all had access to ChatGPT at the same time as the hedge fund managers, and we could connect the dots more quickly than they could because they have a bureaucracy that they have to go through to get a trade cleared. It could take them 2 weeks, right? Like we're nimble. Like we see the world unfolding in real time as just regular people. And we have our feet deeper in the real world than some finance head on Wall Street. So like, I think this is the golden age for retail investors because we can see the world unfolding and we have our Robinhood app or whatever app, right? And and we're not intimidated to trade on it. We all know how to trade now. We all know how to invest. By the way, we've all been through kind of a couple bad cycles, which is important. And we're no longer making stupid mistakes like we were, like all the investors that came in during the 2021 thing. They all lost. They made their learned lessons. We're getting smarter. This is the golden age. And by the way, at the end of the day, with change comes opportunity. And I literally just told you that the biggest change of our lifetime is about to happen with AI. I don't know exactly how it plays out. Yeah. I don't know exactly who the winners are, but there will be winners. There will be losers. And the change is about to be so big and so massive and come on so quickly that it will be the biggest investing opportunity of a lifetime. And it's ahead of us. It's not behind us. It's like the next 5 years, next 5 to 7 years.
It's being able to invest at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution.
It's amazing. I honestly thought, like, during the internet age, I was like, Dave, are we going to get another one of these? I was nervous that was the last thing. And then when mobile phone, like the whole Facebook thing with social media and with iPhone, I was like, God, that was a big thing. Are we going to get another one of those? And then we got cloud computing, which is kind of big, but a little more obscure.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I don't know if we have anything left. Is there going to be another big one? And then like, dude, AI happened. I was like, no, this can't be real. It can't be real.
Yeah.
Because like, if this is real, this is bigger than everything put together. And like, damn, it's going to be a good time to be an investor the next 10 years. It is so real and so prolific. And what's going to happen the next 5 years as this technology starts to get productized, because it's not productized yet. That's what's so crazy. It's like people are not using it. They're literally not using it for what it can do.
Yeah. Some of it has been productized, but there's so much more to go. And companies will form on top of existing technology. And the fact that you can go onto a chatbot and code an entire app and launch it in the App Store in a weekend is crazy to me.
ChatGPT, I was hanging out with some friends and we wanted to do Jeopardy, and it created I've never coded before in my entire life. I know zero about coding, but it walked me through beginning to end how to create a Jeopardy board out of code. And I could customize it exactly how I wanted it to. hooked it up to my television, and all of a sudden we had Jeopardy. It came up with all the questions. I was like, use these categories. Do you think any other category would be more fun? I gave ChatGPT our demographics of like our age group. We're mostly men, and it came up with the categories, created this entire thing native to, so it was in ChatGPT too. I didn't have to open up Terminal. I didn't have to, open up Java or whatever you do. It was all in there, created Jeopardy, had a blast. It was insane.
But any regular person right now can go on the text-to-image generator on either Google or ChatGPT or Grok, play around with it. And then I want you just to think about all the applications just for that one tool, and then remind yourself that you're working on 1.0 that tool. 1.0.
Yeah.
Think about what it's going to be like in a year, 2 years. Literally every single business manager in the world at their fingertips can create ad campaigns in 1 minute. Is whatever's in their mind, whatever's in their head, they can
What's
create.
going to stop eventually? Because if we keep going down this path, what's going to end up happening is that we're all going to be hooked up to electrodes, and then ChatGPT is going to create the perfect simulation and the perfect world for you to be in, where you don't have to spend any money, you don't have to do anything. You're going to be hooked up in a pod in some fluid. We're all going to be like
sounds
on
like
some
every science fiction
tower.
movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the
what's
thing.
going to stop
stopping
us?
it? And then all of a sudden you just like kind of pulse every now and then, and it's sending like shots, but in your mind you're living like the dream life, and you could be hooked up to this pod for like $50 a month.
How do you know we're not already there from another intelligent being from another planet, and
There's
we're
a
just
chance.
in their simulation?
But also, guys,
That is the weirdest timing ever.
See, it's a sign.
but
It's that is insane.
It's
the
like
light is
blinking at us.
now. It's like you got it.
all right, okay, Graham, that's interesting.
I mean,
Did we just blow a fuse,
Right.
or are we in a simulation?
Do you ever use ChatGPT to make trades for you?
No.
Do you ever run your ideas by ChatGPT as a heuristic?
I ask ChatGPT about the company, about things. I get transcripts from earnings calls from ChatGPT or Grok.
I use it as an assistant. So like if I discover a cultural shift or like a change in consumer behavior, I explain it to ChatGPT. And this used to take me a lot of time to do manually, but I'll say, hey, I'm identifying this change, this shift in consumer behavior. Can you help me identify industry sectors and companies that are publicly traded anywhere in the world that would both benefit and be harmed by this shift? And it will basically give me all the companies and sectors and its opinions. And that's my 1.0 for doing my own research. Before, I would have to spend like 6 hours, maybe even 10 hours doing research to do what that does for me in 20 seconds. So it just kind of allows me to do more with like the things that I'm surfacing. But I haven't yet figured out a way to allow it to surface.
Yeah, surfacing the ideas,
the
not
idea.
as much, but like using it as your own personal research assistant who can pull data for you,
Unbelievable.
summarize a lot of, like, you can just like upload 200-page PDFs and say, okay, give me a gist of this. Is there anything interesting in here? And I use that all the time.
It's incredible. And I think people keep going to the fact that, oh, this is going to remove all these jobs. Like it's going to make our economy small. Like you don't need people. I'm like, no, that's not how it's going. There will be some job loss, but what I'm seeing more of is you could do more with the people you have. And because you could do more with every individual person, as long as that correlates to additional potential for your company, you're likely now to hire even more people because that one person has the value of 4, right? So before, a person, were you really going to spend money to hire that person if they could only generate potentially this much more value for your company? But if hiring that person can generate this much more value for your company, and I know this isn't instantaneous, right? But over the long term, over the next decade, I think that's how enterprise is going to think about human capital. As long as that human capital is savvy and they understand how to leverage these tool sets, I think we're going to see a massive expansion in the global economy as opposed to people getting left out of it. And again, I am an optimist, and I've been people rip on me for that. But if you look at the history of the world, that type of thinking has always been correct. So the down and out, this is going to screw everyone and put us out of jobs. there is some truth there for some industry sectors for some transitionary state of time, but I'm fairly confident that this is going to massively increase the opportunity for human capital over the next 2 decades, because human capital is going to be able to constructively do so much more with these new tool sets.